it's Claire Lightning, and today we're going to talk about food magic. So yesterday I woke up and I decided that I wanted to get dressed and go somewhere, and it was Sunday, and where else would you go on a Sunday morning besides church? That's like sort of the normal thing to do, right? So I got up and I got dressed and I was like, what am I doing?
What am I doing?
I am supposed to be a priestess, so I had finished getting dressed and I decided that instead I was going to do a video. So something that I want to talk about before we get into the main topic is the books. I know that in my first video I had mentioned something about previous beliefs or knowledge engagements in general. I said that whatever prior beliefs that the occult had were in the past and that we were starting over. And I want to just express where I'm coming from with that, and it's because that I have learned in my studies, religion in general, books in general, knowledge in general, is that through the years, at a certain time, while books were being invented and they wanted to put, I'm going to call it a recipe, because some people might believe different, like about incantations or seances or just different things. So I'm going to say that the recipe. So people wanted to start putting these recipes into books so that it would be easier to teach and learn. And the people who were hiring the bookmakers and the bookmakers had like mutual friends, and somewhere one of the friends, there were discrepancies amongst the acquaintances. So the people who were making the books decided to mess up the recipes. I just want to, point that out, is that when we get into translations and carrying on information like this, is that we have to keep an open mind, especially when we're teaching and learning about something that is such an open-minded topic, such as occults and Illuminati.
So I just want you to keep that in mind
about where I'm coming from with these Illuminati occult holy rain messages, Grimes and Duffy occult that everyone has heard about. So I just want to clarify that it's nothing personal. It's just, I just meant that comment very lightheartedly, as keeping an open mind about seeing my perspective, because they think that I have a different perspective about Illuminati and occults and Satan worshiping than people in the past. I'm not here to change anyone's mind. I'm just here to share my experience, and I didn't think that running any type of church or religious groups should be very much more than that. It's just sharing your experiences and seeing where we have these experiences in common and stuff. So, and another thing that I wanted to say about the books is that I came from a castle in France. We had books. We had the books on how to make AI. We didn't make it, but we had a friend who actually, Duffy, kept one of the books, and as you know, Matt Lights or Duffy, he made the AI. Some of the other boys went to robotics school and they did different types of AI, but we had these books, and some of these books were a lot more powerful and interesting than AI, like I had mentioned before, like Shazam type power. And what happened when they came into the castle and all that stuff went down, part of the thing was is that they burned the books, our special books. So I don't want to say that these books were or not necessarily Illuminati books or original books or anything like that, but just leave it at that, is that, we don't completely know. But as far as other books, anyone can write a book and claim that it's about a certain religion, and they have every right to do that because that might be their perspective. So I just want to, express that as the high priestess of the occult, I feel that I should have more of an influence than what you might read in a book that's old, that's written by somebody with a different perspective. And you're welcome to do that. You're welcome to search your influence for the occult, the Illuminati, on whatever you believe, but the point is to follow the high priestess. You know how a church works, so I'm not here to tell you what to do or tell you that I'm right or wrong. That's all you can do, right? So I just feel like, some of these teachings from the past have been based around too many violent rumors, and I don't think that that's ever what the Illuminati, which means the light, I don't think that that's ever what it was supposed to be. Kind of like Satan worshiping and stuff, and the idea of criminal activity, I don't believe that that's ever what it was meant to be. I'm just here to share my experience. If you like it, then hey, we're here for you. And if you don't, just go find something that you like. And some people like things that they don't like. Like if you don't like it, well, watch and troll. Then I can block your comments or whatever, but I can't be too mad because you do that and you boost my place. I just want to say that I'm here for you. Whatever you believe, share that in the comments. I don't know how often I'm going to release these videos. Now that I'm aware that people expect them, I think that will encourage me. Getting into it. And today's subject that I want to share with you is food magic, because this is a subject that comes up. People always think judging other people, how much you eat, what you eat, when you eat, why you eat, how you eat, and it's just like a big deal, right? And I just want to share my experience in that I call food magic. And I think that this perspective that I have about food eliminates the idea of fasting food. What do we think of fasting? And you stop eating for like a certain amount of time. Maybe it's a few hours, maybe it's a few days, maybe it's just you stop consuming a certain type or particular food and think of this as fasting. But what I want to share with you about food magic, eliminating fasting altogether, is that I feel like it's not something that you stop doing, it's something that you start doing. I've noticed that no matter what you believe in, some religions believe that you can only eat seafood, or you can only eat fish but not seafood, or you have to be a vegan, or you have to be a vegetarian, or you can't eat pork. There are all kinds of stipulations. When you start to read like the beginning of the Bible, and it goes into all these different types of animals that they would sacrifice for different sins, you just have like all these stipulations and rules. But what is it? What is eating? What is the purpose? Why are these foods chosen that way? Why do certain religions choose to do that? This is something that I have noticed from personal experience. I'm going to show a list of just different foods, and in particularly what kind of magic consuming these foods create. I'm going to make a list and present the list and explain what kind of magic these foods create when you consume them. Like I said before, this is just my experience and my perspective, and if any of these foods, if you notice similar experiences when you eat particular foods, leave that in the comment if you agree or disagree with some of my experiences and that create magic by consuming food. If you like, hey, I do that too, when I eat that too, I get that too, or if you don't agree, let us know. Something different happens regularly when you eat a food, let us know, because that's the point, is, we're here for the occult, and we want to learn a little bit of magic, right? We want to know that it's exciting and supernatural, right? This is what we're here for, the occult, right? When we do certain celebrations, and we normally have, like, if you have like a birthday, then you're probably gonna eat cake. If you have like different kinds of cake, and then like the results for your birthday might be different. Be aware of this. Be conscious about when you eat. Nobody's telling you when or how much to eat. I just want to explain, when I took on this perspective that it's not taking food away, we're adding food to our lives to use magic. What do people usually feel like? They want to eat something when they don't feel well. And why do they want to eat? Because we associate eating with something to do to feel better. I'm going to show the graph now. We'll go over these different foods that I've noticed similar activities. If you've ever fasted, when I was going to church, and they would encourage us to fast and pray all the time, and I would do that, and I would feel like when I was fasting, a lot of pressure or having a lot of bad times, they would be like, well, that's the devil. The devil is trying to interfere with you. And I never felt right about that. It's those moments like when you break the fast, when you eat, when you have your celebration, that's when time's good, right? So why are we torturing ourselves? I don't 100% agree with that. It's just the devil doing that. See, when we consume food, we think that when we don't, we're fasting. We feel like we're giving something up. We think about a witch's brew or something, and they're putting, we might think of like frog legs or something, eating something weird or different, and you're like, that's a witch, and I think that we don't realize that these types of things are fascism or judgmental in a way. If you can see where I'm coming from, when we're fasting, what we're doing is we're like, if you can think of it this way, it's like we're clearing out all the magic. Maybe we've become greedy, full of needs. When you're fasting and you're letting those go, maybe you eat to have a good time, and maybe those indulgences have built up together and have mixed while you're fasting. I feel like, maybe you don't have a good time while you're fasting. Maybe you feel that way because you're clearing out all this. You had too much and you got to clear it out. Sometimes you just have to get through it. Hopefully this video will help as far as being taught and brought up in a society where we're just so angry at each other. So I just hope that this helps. I hope that this helps people help themselves and others. This is just a short list of a few things that I've experienced, and that, you know, you're welcome to try them. That's completely up to you. This is not a menu of what the Illuminati or occult is supposed to eat or anything. It's just a personal experience, learning experience, illuminated, a light mind experience, and it doesn't mean that it will or will not work every single time, and I want you to go and overindulge in these foods thinking that your life is going to change. I don't know what is going to happen. You eat what you want to, and like I said, this is just my experience. People want to know, and I would like for you to share your experiences with me if you agree or disagree, or if you want more information, if you want me to try something, if you want me to like try a food that I haven't tried before, and you want me to, you know, like, what does this food have magic? What kind of results will I get, you know? If you want me to do something like that for you, or if you have your own experiences with food magic that we can compare and see, you know, like, is this real? You know, because some people don't think that it's real, but when you think about what, you know, witches do, and when you think about the different types of food that we have for special occasions, like, why do we choose those foods? Like, do we really enjoy the flavors of these foods? Are we just eating to feel better? You know, why does it make us feel better? You know, what can we do, you know, from our inner selves to experiences? And this is just, you know, my experience, and maybe you have something similar that you experience, or you just want to know more about it. Watching this video, maybe you start to notice that these things happen and may or may not be because of what we consume. So when we consume things, we're also giving out those pheromones. So when we consume things, and then we're giving out those pheromones, and where we go, and the people who have a chance to interact with us, they might smell those pheromones, or they might feel, you know, you get to have, if you eat certain things all the time, then your body might change its odor. And I'm not saying that you stink or anybody, but your pheromones might change. So I think that is very logical that I would see things that way. I do normally talk about it. I have, you know, mentioned it several times in the past, but so we make a video about it, you know, about food magic. Right, so here's the list. Pork. So usually when we think about eating pork, we think of cultures who tell us not to eat pork, and we think of getting worms in our stomach, or having a hard time processing meat, or eating too much fat. But I think that's really up for the individual to determine. As part of food magic, when I think of pork, I think of expressions like bringing home the bacon, making ham sandwich jokes. As far as experience, whenever I consume like pork, bacon, Canadian bacon, like a ham, I usually have some sort of sexual related encounters. Maybe it's a kiss or a flirt, and that might also determine like what kind of pork I eat, how much I eat. So if I have bacon, I might have a different experience than if I have Canadian bacon. And when, how much, and where I go might also affect the experience. If you think of eating something different, that's something different, right? So, but if it's the same, but it's still pork, right? So you might have a similar experience like that. Bread. Whenever I have bread, like I usually do some type of work. Maybe I go to a job, or maybe I go to the gym. But usually the result is going to be like some type of work that you expect to be making money from. Like, it might be a different type of money or a different type of work depending on the type of bread, how much and when you consume and where you go. In my opinion, it's funny, but every time I get a quarter pounder with cheese and mayonnaise, somebody offers to smoke weed with me. Every single time. It's like a random pre-concept. I might not even know them. They'll be like, hey, you want to smoke some weed or croissants? Every time I have a croissant, I get a present from New York. And it's particular to getting a present from New York. Now, maybe the size of croissant or the type. Maybe I bought a can of croissant biscuits and I made them in the oven. Or maybe I got one fresh from a bakery, or maybe I bought a pre-made croissants from the deli. Maybe it's a present I bought for myself, or maybe a gift, or maybe it's just that I received a package in the mail. Maybe this was like a personal present, or it can vary, but usually when I have croissant, I get a present from New York. Cheese. Cheese is kind of another difficult one. It's all different types of cheeses, and so you're gonna have different types of results. Cheese, I usually gain something, find laughter or entertainment. It's the gain that you experience from cheese, because you might think of cheese as something cheesy that's funny, take that to heart. Or you might think of cheese as something like fart, or you might think of cheese as something monetary or gain. Popcorn. Usually we go to the movies and have popcorn, or, usually popcorn is related to movies or having sort of party or gathering. You might not be at the movies. Maybe you're having like a house party with music and stuff, and you have like popcorn and chips and stuff laid out. So you might think of it as like a gathering, a fun time. It's corn, and when we have corn, we think of something corny or that is like a celebration or good time. Lentils. Lentils is another flirt food. If you have lentils, again, how much you have and how you consume it might affect your encounter with flirting or intimacy. Fish, and in particularly, I put fish and peppers in the same category because I consider every time I have fish, I lose someone. Maybe the different types of fish might affect what type of person I lose out of my life. And peppers, when I have fish, like spicy fish, I lose someone out of my life to death. And so that's why I put fish and peppers in the same category, because it represents a loss. When I have peppers, I usually have some sort of loss. I might get robbed or scammed, cheated on. Once I had cinnamon and I was chased around town and beat up. Another thing about peppers is that in African cultures, they give peppers to people that they don't like. And it's a gesture of kindness, sort of, but it's more like brown-nosing. It's like, I don't like you, but here's a gift. Brown-nosing or sucking up to somebody, and you're supposed to bring that person bad luck. If you see people with pepper plants outside of their house and they say it's to ward off evil spirits, from my experience, I also feel that is legitimate. Spaghetti. Every time I have spaghetti, I go somewhere. Like the way that you make spaghetti, and a lot of people, you're probably going to add cheese or beef to it. So this might affect where I go or where I'm going to do what. It might affect the experience that I have while I'm gone. But every time I have spaghetti, I go somewhere. Whether it's just that I go outside, I go to the market, or I go on a short road trip. Steak and turkey. Now, steak and turkey, again, I put these in the same category. Much similar effect. Steak usually seems to be closer to a monetary gain, and turkey seems to be closer to a collateral gain. Usually you have turkey for Christmas and then everyone gets presents. You know, if you go on a date and you might be having steak, wining and dining, you go to like a work meeting and you all have steak, you know, so you consider steaks as like a monetary gain and turkey is like a collateral gain. Chocolate and or caramel. I haven't really like fine-tune this one, but you know that chocolates are generally something that you give as a present to somebody that you admire. You're gonna think similar result. It's a flirt food. But however, I feel like with chocolate and caramel, it's not always my crush. It might be somebody hot, or, you know, handsome, good looking, but it's not always my crush. With orange chocolate, I always have like a intimate experience. With mint chocolate, I always have like a collateral experience. Like I get usually get some kind of present or surprise. It might be the presence of somebody that I wanted a present. Coconut, I feel like every time I have coconut, I feel like I might see somebody, be around somebody that I have a crush on, but it's not necessarily a flirt experience.
Spinach.
Another one food that I relate to a flirt experience. This experience is usually like, if you think spinach, you're probably thinking Popeye. So whenever I have a spinach flirt experience, it's usually somebody that has this type of personality. Like, no matter if they're slim or chubby, they might have like a Popeye persona, you know, like a strong man. It might be considered arrogant, but usually with a man that considers himself strong, and you might consider him strong too, but the idea is a flirt experience with somebody that's strong. Also consider that when we interact with other people, their food magic and pheromones might affect ours when we mingle with them. When our pheromones and our food magic mingles with theirs, it might change the effect. Normally you see realistically families eating together, eating the same food, because you want to be on the same pheromone or food magic level. You want the people that you're going to be around the most, you want to have the similar interactions because you want to keep those people in your circle. So you want to eat the same, you know, you want to eat together with the people that you want to be around the most. And I just think that expresses, you know, more about that.